This woman has been raped 15 times, but she does not know that. And the perpetrator always achieves what he wants. She is a surgeon in a vast city. After breaking up, she moves to this apartment complex. Max, the landlord, gives her an offer to rent with a low price. Because this room has no heater and poor phone signal. Juliet always comes home late, so she seems to fit this. Max lives with his grandfather. They are pretty close-knit. That night, after Juliet takes a bath, the subway passes under her building. Juliet touches the mirror, she feels nothing, and then goes to bed. In this moment there is a human shadow behind the curtain. Suddenly she wakes up, going to the living room to lock the door, she sleeps again. In the morning, after the run, Juliet comes home, and sees a gift under the door. The old man standing behind the door is watching her with a strange gaze. Could he be the person standing behind the curtain? Juliet comes to thank him. He tells her that she should find someone to live with. Juliet's appalled, she rapidly leaves. That day, Juliet meets Max when she is at an exhibition with her colleagues. They have a stroll. They have a good conversation and start having feelings for each other. When they are coming back home, a man is watching them. This man is Jack, Juliet's ex-boyfriend. Could he be the person in that night? In front of the door, Juliet is about to kiss Max, but he suddenly refuses. She thinks Max has feelings for her. She is embarrassed, she says sorry and quickly goes back to her room. However, every corner of the house, from the pipe to the window, even under her bed, it seems like somebody is watching her. That night, Jack calls Juliet to make up, but she rejects. In the evening, Max invites Juliet for a dinner, then he confesses his love. He says he did not prepare for the situation in the previous day. Then, they begin to make love. On the halfway through, Juliet suddenly thinks about Jack and stops. Max just gets dressed and leaves. The next day, Max apologizes, admitting that he wanted to have a friend so he was agitated. Juliet finds Max reliable so she says sorry too. The sneaky man also enters Juliet's room. He touches her arm and hastily leaves. Juliet wakes up, feeling something weird, she takes the knife to defend. Juliet walks to the back of the kitchen, she opens it and many stuffs fall down. Juliet is too scared to sleep. The next day, Max comes to fix the kitchen. Max says he still loves her and wants to continue, but Juliet says no. These days, Juliet feels very insecure. Jack calls her again to make up. In a moment, Juliet is weak and she agrees. Jack brings her a dog. It is very clever, it smells a stranger and constantly barks towards the kitchen. However, they are talking so they don't notice the dog's behavior. After that, they make love. In that evening, Jack leaves early as he has something to do. In this moment, a man puts pills into the water. Juliet wakes up at midnight, she drinks water and sleeps. The next morning, Juliet is late for work. This is her third time. Juliet feels so strange, she hires someone to install a camera. Eventually, Juliet goes on a date with Jack. In this moment, someone is watching her again. Now the biggest suspect is Max. After arriving home, Juliet goes to bed because she finds nothing in the camera. Not surprisingly, Juliet is late for work again. She hurriedly gets dressed and finds a syringe head. She leaves without seeing notices on the screen. In the hospital, she takes her blood to do a test. Jack calls her and says that he will wait for her for dinner. Then, Juliet gets the test result. It says there is a large amount of anesthetic in her blood. Suddenly Juliet feels something wrong, she calls Jack, but nobody answers. Juliet rushes to home, there are only a bag of food, and a wine bottle in the house. She does not find Jack. Juliet feels so weird. Now, she sees the notices on the camera. She discovers the truth. It turns out that Max is the sneaky man. She covers her mouth to prevent making noise. While Juliet is sleeping, Max sneaked into the room and raped her. In this moment, Max gets in. Juliet rapidly turns off the computer and pretends to be normal. Max sees the unusual thing on her face. The footage begins to rewind days ago. It turns out to be Max's plan from the time Juliet rented and moved to his house. That day, Max took his grandfather to the hospital and saw Juliet working. He was attracted by her. He looked at the old man and came up with a scary plan. He recorded Juliet's name. He also found her number. After learning that she was looking for a room, he issued leaflets near the hospital. He lured her to his house and watched her every day. In the bathroom, from the window, even under the bed. In the exhibition day, Max followed Juliet. He was waiting for a suitable time and pretended to meet her accidentally. That day when they stopped making love, Max tried to calm himself. After that he returned to his room to satisfy himself. That night, he sneaked into Juliet's room to touch her arms, then kissing her. The dog felt stranger because Max was in the room. Seeing Jack coming, he hid in the kitchen. He stood there to watch them talking and making love. After Jack left, Max put drugs into the water. He kissed Juliet, and even raped her in her coma. When Juliet almost woke up, he injected her again. Every day, when Juliet goes to work, Max sneaks into her room. He uses her toothbrush, smells her clothes. He even lays in the bath to feel her warmth. It turns out the words that the old man said was a reminder for her. He knows what Max wants from her. He always curses that Max is like his father and Max is jealous, undutiful, weak and useless. That year, Max's father killed her mother and killed himself afterward. That's why Max has become a pervert like this. Now, Max is comforting Juliet. He suddenly takes a syringe to stab into her leg. Juliet also stabs him with a knife. They are fighting against each other. Max does not believe that Juliet is so strong like that. Learning that he cannot take her down, he runs away. He waits for the drug to be effective, and he will come back. Unexpectedly, Juliet takes some pills to drink, controlling the effect of the anesthetic. Max locks the door. Juliet takes her phone to call, but the signal is too poor for her to do that. She has to find another way. Suddenly, Max appears and pushes her down from behind. Juliet struggles to hide in the bathroom. After watching, she does not hear anything, so she checks the wound. Unexpectedly, two arms coming from the mirror pull Juliet inside. Juliet uses a hair brooch to stab Max. While he is in pain, she turns around to run. This is the secret room that Max used to watch her. In the fight, Max says he wants to live with her forever. Juliet picks up an iron stick to stab in his belly. He hurts. Juliet hides in a room, and she finds Jack's body. She breaks the glass and rapidly hides into it. Then Max shows up. Juliet holds a nail gun to attack him from behind. After a struggle, she finally sends him to hell. The girls who live alone must know how to protect themselves. They should be careful of the handsome, polite, and nice guys. If you are alone, remember two things. 1 is exercising for a good health. 2 is raising a big dog. This is the end of the movie today. Follow the page to see more good movies.